Good morning and welcome to Rapid Dawn. I mean, we were here with you through the hour 7, but the 9 o'clock conversation and one of the biggest stages of the conversations for Rapid Dawn right here. Good morning again. My name is Martha Alu. And I mean, the conversation of tax is one that has been all over the social space. And personally, like this morning, I said that there's been lots of talks, misinformation as well. And we have seen the NRC come out in their full capacity to try to debunk some of the information that has been put in the social space. But yes, since the 1st of January, Nigeria's new tax laws have officially entered the implementation phase. Despite growing controversies, public pushback, and reported discrepancies between what was passed by the National Assembly and what is currently being implemented by the tax authorities. Now, on the social space, the conversation, like I said, has been loud and very divided. From concerns about increased pressure on low-income Nigerians to questions around taxation on transfers, compliance burdens on small businesses, and fears that the poor may once again be carrying the heaviest weight, many Nigerians are asking the same question: who really pays the price for tax reform? Supporters argue that the tax reforms are necessary to expand the revenue base, reduce borrowing, and stabilize the economy. And you can see that in most developed countries, one of the easiest ways to build the country is through the taxing system, effective taxing system. In fact, many Nigerians who started off here as business people and left to other parts of the world, the UK, the US, they have also complained, oh, the water bill is too much, the taxing system is a lot. But if you are being taxed and life is being made easy for you, it obviously means that your tax, the money collected from your tax is being used, right? It's being repurposed into something that is commendable. But critics also insist that the timing of this reform, the transparency and equity matter, and that reforms introduced in a high inflation environment risk deepening the hardship if not carefully designed. Now, this morning, we will be talking about these new tax laws, what they really mean, who they affect the most, and whether implementation without clarity undermines public trust in the system or not. And to have that conversation with me here this morning is Samuel Umo, and he is a tax consultant. Good morning to you, Samuel.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join us here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you already look like a tax master. You know, I've seen a lot of memes. People have, very ridiculous things with the descriptions, with the taxing. And someone said, now you understand why the Pharisees actually hated the tax masters in the Bible. And that made me laugh a lot because they were always fighting with the tax masters, calling them oppressors. And when at the time Jesus even went and ate with a tax collector, it was an abomination. This evil person you are eating, and we're seeing that replay yet again in the system where implementation has started. I don't think debit on any account has actually started because it's supposed to be at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
But we already hate the tax collectors. We already hate the tax masters because we feel like it's going to put in undue hardship on a lot of Nigerians. Now, for the purpose of clarity, which I think is one of the major things missing out in the tax conversation, not many people understand what this taxing system is about, what the tax reform is, because it's just like subsidy. When we say subsidy is being removed, not many people understand what subsidy actually is. It's the same thing with tax. First, you will help us tell us what is tax and what this reform is about, just so that we can also lend our voice in the continued activism of the NRC on sensitizing people on what the tax law and its implementation is about.
Okay, thank you very much. So, wow, when you spoke about the fact that if you go to the Bible, you see the tax collectors and all that. I mean, to be very honest, the name of the FRS chairman is still Zacchaeus. I mean, the same tax collector. So
Okay.
there's a lot of relationship between them, yeah. So about the new tax reform, I just feel like what the Fiscal Reform Committee was supposed to do was break down these laws to the smallest base of understanding. Yeah, when you're talking to the public, you don't just talk like a professional. You come down to their level so that people don't just feel or misinterpret you or have a misconception about the new tax law. So what I'm going to do this morning, is to make sure that I reduce everything to barest minimum. Even the market woman that is selling fish in the market can understand, you know. So about the new tax reform policy, reforms can actually come to better the country. For instance, the Nigerian current tax reform policy, which took effect from the 1st of January 2026, is for the betterment of Nigerians. Why am I saying this? Because the fiscal committee and the government actually said that this particular reform is to tax the fruit and not the seed. So if you're taxing the fruit, that means you're looking out for people that are making this money in a large amount of it, not those that are not making it or not those that are earning so low. So consequent upon that fact, there's been a lot of deductibles and reliefs on taxes, ranging from company income tax to personal income taxes. So I would love to start from company income tax. Company income tax, prior to this time, it was a threshold of 25 million naira. So that means if you have a company that's a limited liability company, you're supposed to have made above 25 million naira annually before you're able to actually be taxable. You can actually make this amount and not still pay tax. Because when you make, let's say you make 30 million naira in a company, and in that 30 million naira there are a lot of deductibles. Not all your inflows or your turnover is your profit. So by the time you rule out admin expenses, capital allowance and everything, you pay salary, I mean you buy fuel, you pay for light, but you allowed to remove that under company income tax laws. You're allowed to rule out all those things. By the time you take that out, we now deal on your profits. By the time we go to your profit is not up to the turnover. It's not up to the threshold rather, and then you don't pay tax on that. So, but you have to file your audited report, which is very important, to show that these are the things and these are the things that you did. So, but now the new tax reform policy has increased the threshold from 25 million naira annually to 100 million naira and fixed assets of 250 million. What does that mean? The former threshold that was 25 million has been raised to 100 million. And then your fixed assets will not be more than must not be more than 250 million. That means that if your fixed asset is more than 250 million, you're no longer seen as a small business anymore. So you still pay tax. So let me explain that. Let's say your turnover is below 100 million. Then your fixed asset is more than 500 million. You still pay tax. That will not apply to you again. That 100 million will not apply to you again. Let me use, for instance, hotels. I mean, hotels, the asset is always obviously high because, I mean, it's a building, we have a lot of furnitures and all that. So that will not actually apply to it, So moving forward, again, we used to have what they call education tax at 3%. And there were a lot of taxes, police trust funds, etc., etc., you know. But what they did was they harmonized these taxes, and called it development levy. So we no longer have education tax, we now have development levy charged at 4%. Now, one of the reasons that this threshold was lifted from 25 million to 100 million for small businesses is because they want people that are coming up with business in Nigeria to be able to grow. And also have the capacity to employ more Nigerians. You know, students are finishing from school and no employment, corporates are passing out, no employment. So if you take up this relief, I mean, 25 million is sort of easy to make by a company. So if you take it up to like
for a company,
not as profits. Imagine you're a real estate company now. You're selling a land in Abuja. If you sell around 100 million, how much is your percentage? Sometimes 5%, sometimes less. So you see, you can make that amount easy, but not as is your profit. So that is that about that. So when we now look at it from this angle, we will tend to understand that, well, to be very honest, the government are actually trying to make the best reform. But the problem people are having is if these taxes that they will pay would actually be used for the betterment of Nigerians, because we don't have proof of previous taxes paid being utilized in the way that it's supposed to be, like for basic social amenities and all that. So people are just afraid because of that.
Now, throughout last week, or I think 2 weeks straight, the conversation was about the discrepancies, you know, of what was passed by the House and the gazetted tax. Can you talk to us about these discrepancies? What were the discrepancies and what is the implication of this discrepancy legally?
So in as much as, there is a lot of political aura around that particular conversation. Yeah, I wouldn't want to dive very straight into it because I mean there's a lot behind it. But Mr. Taiwo, yeah, the president of the Fiscal Reform Committee, spoke about it, and then I feel like there was a sort of misunderstanding within the House of Assembly. Yeah, they were supposed to have one or two understanding, and somebody raised a particular notion on it. But when they released the official tax laws, I mean, it came out and then he said the previous one was not signed by the president, but the one that was released, everything was correct and the president's signature was there. So I feel like, and the president and the chairman of FIRS, yeah, Dr. Dak Adedeji also spoke about it, yeah. So I just feel like there's a particular issue with the particular House member that spoke up about that. It was not really, that's what I'm saying. Yes, it's political, to be very honest, it's political.
Okay, let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new stamp duty.
Okay.
Now they say for transactions from 10,000 naira and above,
yeah,
you'd be charged 50 naira. And honestly,
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. You don't think it's a lot of money until you do it by 1 million
it's a lot
people
of money.
or 200 million people.
Yeah.
You see, imagine. In fact, at the time, I think there were reports about a very small guy who was deducting 5 naira from everybody's account
and made millions,
and made millions of naira from it. Okay. But you see, the more we keep quiet about some of just the deductions, the more it gets. Okay, we do maintenance for our accounts.
Yeah.
We do maintenance that we're being charged for ATMs, right? And then we are charged for transactions. You know the new USSD thing that we do. You know, you try to send money to somebody through the USSD code, and it doesn't go. You are being charged for it. I think 10 naira.
Yeah.
You are being charged for it. It doesn't go. You are being charged again for it. You are being charged multiple times for it until the transaction actually goes through.
Yeah.
You see. So talk to us about how this affects businesses, because this is a concern of a lot of people. This morning I was reading that the broadband for Nigeria has increased by 50%. This same place that we have very terrible network, you know. So it's looking like these things are more on policies, on papers, rather than it is in actual. Just talk to us about the stamp duty.
So about the stamp duty, I'm going to come from the positive and the negative aspect.
Okay.
Yeah. Prior to this time, you notice that if I'm sending money to you, I'm charged 15 naira, you're charged 15 naira.
Yes.
It was on both ends. But the new reform policy has actually scrapped that out. So it's only the sender that pays the 15 naira. Yeah. And then again, there are some exemptions. It's not charged on salaries. So no matter how much you're paying the person salary, they don't charge you stamp duty. And again, if you're sending money within your account, before you notice, even though you have different accounts and you send money through those accounts, they will still charge you stamp duty of 15 naira. But now, I mean, these things were previously called electronic levies.
Yes.
Yeah, because before they now made
that's the word.
They were called electronic levies because now made it this stamp duty. Now, if you look at it again, if let's say there is there's a particular word I'm looking for, but let me just say this here. The negative aspect of this is that the money, this whole thing boils down to the fact that people are not comfortable with a lot of taxes coming left, right, and center when nothing is exactly coming out from it. Actually. We just have politicians go there and then squander money and then we don't get anything in return. Yeah. So the negative side of this stamp duty would actually, it will affect goods. Someone will be like, I'm doing transactions and all that. You know the way Nigerians can be. They want to add everything back to what they are selling.
Exactly.
And it will lead to price increments. Because nobody wants to bear the cost. Everybody wants to shift the cost of tax to someone. I saw one funny meme like somebody say, in 2026, women will start telling men, babe, please help me pay my tax.
Send money with tax. Help me pay my tax.
These are the issues. Yeah, these are the issues. So, and again, let me make this clarification so that people don't get confused outside there. People that are running POS, they have lifted their ban, they are exempted. No stamp duty. So the POS person cannot be like, oh, I'm charging you 150 naira because I have to pay. That's not. That has been exempt. So we should clarify on that.
Okay. The major content online is the fact that these reforms will hurt the poor more than it will the rich.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of clarifications being made by the Mr. Taiwo Wedele and Mr. Adedeji as well, talking about how the poor are being used as pawn by the rich. saying, you know, this is supposed to affect more of the rich. We're taxing the people that have more money.
Yeah.
And you who complain, that was a shade anyways. He said, you guys who complain, you know, we did an analysis and we say, we saw that about 90% of Nigerians don't even have up to 500,000 in their account. And they're the ones making the loudest noise on social media about the tax and what have you. Now, from your assessment, because you are a tax man, no, you are a tax consultant. Let's not make you a collector. Yes. From your assessment of these reforms, who do you think bears the burden more and why?
Okay. I'm going to be very honest about this. The people that bear the burden more are those that earn more money.
Okay.
Yeah. But to some extent, it doesn't really benefit the poor like this. I feel like their calculation was a little bit awkward. I think they feel that a lot of Nigerians make more money. So because you cannot say you exempt people that make 1.2 million annually on personal income tax. That's too small.
Okay.
I mean, you can take it to like 5 million or
exactly.
You understand? So that if you want to really help the poor, you can take it to like 5 million. But people feel like, I mean, if you're making 800 to 1.2, you should be among the poor. If you make more than that, then you don't fall among the poor category or less privileged, so to say. And
as a matter of fact, you know, we had this conversation of where we're talking about how, look, people that earn about 250 between 250 300 bracket to 400 bracket, they fall under this taxing system or this taxing bracket of 15%. But now, how many Nigerians can actually thrive on this amount of money as salaries? Even 500,000 in this administration.
Very difficult.
It's very difficult.
In places like Abuja and Lagos, to be very specific.
Exactly. Have you tried to rent a house? Have you tried to... Cars are not even luxury these days. To own one is like serious luxury, right? So these people still fall under this tax bracket of 15%.
Definitely.
And the government is saying that people who earn more is relative.
Yeah.
Right?
But I have something to say to that. Remember I told you I was going to come from the both angles. Now, if you say you're taxing the rich, you're going to company income taxes. And these people make more money running a business. Now, when you come down to personal income tax, you now see that people that are earning more money will pay more. But the way the president of the fiscal reform team spoke about it, Mr. Taiwo, he said that since they have broken the percentage down, they now have this tax band. It doesn't just apply fully. So some people feel like you're going to apply 25% on your whole inflow. No, that's not how. There's a first 800,000 that is exempt. And you have rent relief of 20% up to 500,000. I want to correct an impression because I saw something online. Someone said if you are paying rent of 1.5 million, you apply 20% to 1.5 million. No. It is capped at 500,000. That means you cannot claim more than 500,000. If you like pay rent at 10 million, you just stay on 500,000. So if you pay rent 300,000, you have to charge 20% of 300,000, not 20% of 500,000. For clarity. And then we have other pension contribution exempted. You know, we have NHIS exempted. So by the time you remove that, you pull out all these small deductibles, and gifts are not taxed. They are deductible. So that's
why people's narration now.
Very important.
Someone sent about 20 million to somebody and put gifts there.
No, that would be
Did
question.
you see that? Obviously.
You know, that would be question. See, one thing, in fact, let me talk about the more practical aspect of tax. You see all these paperwork and everything going online. People don't really understand the main thing. The main thing there is whether you're sending description, whether you're labeling your transaction, gift, money for food, and all that. I even saw someone said, I beg you, this money now, which I want is and do. Baba Tinubu, no tax also. Very funny. The truth is that if you don't file, you see, even when you don't make up to the threshold, if you don't file, you're going to pay liabilities for it. And trust me, liabilities are more painful because sometimes they're even more than the taxes you're supposed to pay.
Imagine. You know, we're supposed to, this conversation should, take longer, but our time is fast spent, so we definitely will revisit the conversation talking about these liabilities, because these are parts that people don't understand. You know, people just pay heavy attention on what is going to be deducted. They don't think about the implications of these deductions and what it will cost you not to be deducted at all. But just your final thoughts on these entire tax reforms and the implementation of these reforms to Nigerians.
Okay, the truth about the whole tax reform it's not something bad, per se. But in my heart, I'm just wishing that if the government can actually utilize this money this time, as it's a reform. So I just hope that they themselves can also reform themselves to making sure that our money is not being thrown into wasteful contracts or wasteful spendings and all that. Yeah, they should focus more on actually building Nigeria for Nigerians. I mean, you can use this money to set up parastatals that can employ young Nigerians and all that. I mean, you could give more loans, to young Nigerians, young entrepreneurs out there, so that they can start up something, to better the country. And I want to talk about something that is very important. They did something that I love so much. So if you're running an agricultural company, you're giving a 5 years tax holiday, meaning that you don't pay tax for 5 years. But that doesn't mean that you will not file. You will just file, but they will not tax you for 5 years, just to make sure that, I mean, they, give into the agricultural sector. I mean, everybody needs food in Nigeria.
Everybody needs food. Thank you so much, Samuel Omar, for joining us on the show today. We'll definitely have you back some other time.
Jeff, I would love to be back here. A lot to talk about on tax.
Definitely. All right. Forgot to tell you, we have 2 separate segments for the show today. Next, we're talking about the Venezuelan invasion, attack, kidnap, many descriptions that these have been given. Well, that's the next conversation we'll be having. We'll head out now and we'll be back next to keep up with that. Please stay with us.